Never underestimate the power of Pengulls, everyone. Also, be sure not to actually overestimate their worth while you're at it. Don't get me wrong, Pengulls have a role to play in this game, but really only when the player chooses to let them take the stage. That said, let's still discuss these penguin/seagull hybrids. To spawn Pengulls, the player needs to be near the ocean, as Pengulls actually do not spawn naturally otherwise. They just launch themselves out of the ocean and up to the shore, and then immediately begin to make you want to rip your own dang ears off. But where exactly are they waddling off to? And maybe the better question is, where the heck are you going, friend? Well, each group of Pengulls spawned not only is random in number, but also forms their very own colonies quite nearby their original spawn point. Locating these colonies is very easy. It's pretty much exactly when Pengulls leap out of the water, we can then begin to open our maps and see the addition of mini glaciers nearby where there wasn't any before. Not only that, eventually a Pengull icon will just appear on the map to begin with. These breeding grounds, essentially, are where these birds will gather until they either die by natural causes or by our hands. Cause here's the thing, folks. Pengulls actually have a hidden hunger meter, and it's a hunger meter that lasts about 12 days from initially spawning, and it can go up when they eat food that's on the ground. When it hits 0, however, they start to starve, just like us, and will eventually die off, leaving their loot behind to boot. But careful now, though. When they are starving, they become very territorial and aggressive. They'll attack most anything nearby, even walls for Pete's sake. So it is advised to take caution near the end of your winters because of this. But Beard, that's 12 days away and I need to deal with these guys now. Well, we'll talk murder here in a bit, I guess, but what about their eggs? Once at their colony, the Pengulls may lay eggs. However, once the player gets close, the birds rush to and hide them. It is very much possible to snatch one now and then, just the timing is difficult. So to remedy this and steal some baby birds, you could just wait till night for some sleepy Pengulls. I still find that it's not usually the most efficient thing still, but it is the safe bet at the end of the day. However, near the end of their flightless life, Pengulls leave their eggs to rot, as it just so happens that the spoilage time of eggs is darn near the same time as a Pengull's entire lifespan. Usually, you'll find just rotten eggs left at the colonies, but maybe, just maybe, an egg will remain in a very spoiled state. So yes, the nighttime egg heist method is your better bet, but how about some murder while we're at it? Well, the issue is neither their 150 health or 33 damage. It's the fact that you hit one and the rest come pecking. You could easily find yourself overwhelmed with the bigger colonies, so a direct approach may not always be the most advised. Pengulls may follow you for quite a time, but they do lose collective interest very quickly, so you could just hit one, run, wait for them to split and calm, then hit the same one again. You're kind of just separating small groups from the biggest colony. So just repeat until you've killed them all, obviously, and I would not worry about respawn times or running out of Pengulls, because these things are bloody limitless and they respawn almost instantly. Oh, and while leading other mobs like hounds and such to them is great, especially when the Pengulls are in a starving state, obviously, never forget that enlisting some help can, help you along the way, so have fun. All that, or just slit some throats come nightfall. Dealing with Pengulls at night appears to be the best bet overall. And don't forget that Pengulls killed is 2 points of naughtiness towards spawning Krampus, so make note. Pengulls have a 20% chance to drop a jet feather, with a 10% chance to drop either a morsel or drumstick, both when they die naturally or otherwise. Not only that though, if they are holding an egg at the time of their death, they will drop them too. But let's talk loot. Jet feathers go into things like the saddle horn, a tool that allows us to get the saddle off our beeflos without dwindling said saddle's durability. Things like the feather pencil, in which allows us to mark mini signs for organization purposes, as well as helping us make maps of our maps for other players. We can also use birds to hunt more, as jet feathers go into the feather hat, a clothing item that increases the amount of birds that can land on screen at once, as well as their overall spawn time. Sleep darts are ranged weapons that render certain mobs asleep, and who would have guessed that one? So if that's something you appreciate, go get it. But finally, there is also a float for your sea fishing rod that come from jet feathers. So, not bad for a bird. As for the meat though, well, it's frickin' meat for Pete's sake. They share the same stat regens, both raw and cooked, both dry in a small jerky, both can be traded to the Pig King for gold, and both can be fed to birds for eggs. The only other thing to mention would be that drumsticks are specifically needed to make turkey dinners within crockpots. It's food. You eat it. But what about the eggs themselves? Well, they are still food too, so don't overthink them there. They could go into bacon and eggs, pierogi, and or waffles though if you wish. But I wish to focus on the many rotten eggs you'll be finding at Pengull camps after winter is over. They are still technically food, but they are needed for gunpowder. So, save up. I think I mentioned this last time, but again, we'll talk gunpowder specifically one day, as on the surface, it's simple. Drop a pile, light it up, back away, and enjoy 200 damage a blast. Very, very powerful and stackable and destructive, but it does have its limits due to some bosses having explosive resistances. Still fun though, and will get the job done regardless. Quickly now. What about the mini glaciers at the colonies? It's simple. Mine them for ice. Ice in your inventory during winter will never melt, and ice in an icebox at any given time will do the same. So gather as much as you can by running near the water to potentially continuously spawn as many pangolls as you want, as ice is one of the best resources in the entire game. From simply acting as a crockpot filler when you need it, ice cubes for your noggin to survive summer, flingomatics to protect base at all times, seafaring nonsense, and a number of recipes that need ice specifically. Yup, ice is very good, and you can just eat it straight up the boot. However, before we wrap up today, let us briefly talk Moonrock Pengulls, the lunar island versions of regular Pengulls. They spawn the exact same during winter, have the same hunger drain, and still attack as a group. However, they are far more aggressive along the way, and don't need to be starving to peck you to death. That said, they only have 100 health and deal 20 damage, so they are weaker overall. Furthermore, they have a 25% chance to drop monster meat, a 50% chance to drop ice, and they will not have eggs actually. But they're terrifyingly awesome. And there you have it, everyone. The Pengulls of Don't Starve Together and all their annoying glory. My only other warning would be to watch your food. These guys munch it instantly if they walk over a pile of it. You gotta be careful. Thanks for watching though. Well wishes to all. Snatch up them eggs and I'll be seeing ya in the next one. Bye bye.